Hello and welcome along to the weekend preview here on horseracing.net, taking a look at all of the Saturday racing and in particular those featuring on the ITV7 game. Now, if you're a regular here, you'll know that there's £50,000 up for grabs on the free game. All you've got to do is pick out 7 winners on the featured races. No mean feat, but hopefully we're here to point you in the right direction. And if you are enjoying these videos, please do like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And follow us on Twitter as well at horseracingnet to keep _net to keep up to date with all of the latest news and goings on in the sport of kings. And there also will be a full write-up of these tips over on horseracing.net. We've also got previews for the Elite Hurdle and the Troy Town Handicap Chase as well over at Navan. So do go and check out the site. Now, there's some pretty good racing this weekend on both the flat and over jumps. The ITV7 in particular focuses across 3 meetings at Wincanton, Aintree and Doncaster, and we're going to go in time order this week, starting with Wincanton, which is the 150. It's a mares handicap hurdle event. This is over 2 miles, 5.5 furlongs, 14 due to go to post, and this is a pretty wide open looking event. We've got a pretty good mix of profiles as well. We've got some informed mares coming into this. Sunrise Ruby arrives here on the back of back-to-back wins at Newton Abbot and Kempton the last twice. Silana as well for the Paul Nicholls team. He's got a brilliant record here at Wincanton. She's won each of her last 3 starts when seen at the turn of last year. But the way I'm going to go here is with the top weight, and that's Eglantine de Soy, who represents the Paul Nicholls team. And as you'll know, switched over from the Willie Mullins team, one of several Sullivan-owned horses that switched to ditch heat this season. She's a very smart filly. She's a Grade 1 winning filly at her peak. She won the 2019 Mares Novices Hurdle. She wasn't quite at it at all at any sort of stage last year. She signed off with a pretty below par effort to finish 11th in the Coral Cup when last seen in March. And she's going to have to give away weight here as well, in excess of just shy of a stone to the field. But she's a class act on her day. And the switch to Paul Nicholls is a really interesting one. You'd think that he'd have her ready for a first outing. He's got an excellent record here at Wincanton. And just fancy her to show her class in this race. It's a good opportunity for her to make a winning return. And she's a good price as well, 6-1 at the time of recording. I think she could be offer a bit of value here. So Eglantine de Soy for me in the opener at Wincanton. Over to the flat now in Doncaster, the 205. This is a fillies listed race. The fillies and mares over 1.25 miles and 14 due to go to post here. Really open looking contest. Freya is the market leader at the time of recording for Mark Johnston. She has won her last 2 outings, including a listed race over at Newmarket over this trip last time out, beating Air Pilot, the older horse. Ananerium, another to consider. She's a regular at this sort of level, been holding her own really well in group company so far this year. But the way I'm going to go here is with a little bit of value at the prices. I'm going to give one more chance to Born with Pride, who was very much a talking filly at the start of the season. If you remember, this time last year, she made a really taking debut at Newmarket, won a listed race on her debut. That's no mean feat. And she was very much talked up as a filly who could do an awful lot this year in the classic scene. Hasn't quite lived up to those expectations. She's pretty much disappointed or failed to feature on almost all of her outings. But what I would say is she does seem to have a liking for testing ground, and her best race so far this season, she's had 4 outings. She was pretty well held in 3 of them, but I thought she shaped pretty well 2 starts ago to finish 5th in Group 3 company at Deauville back in August. She ran well for a long way there. She was prominent for a long way and plugged on pretty well in what turned out to be strong form. Wonderful Tonight, of course, has enjoyed a really good season. She was nowhere to be seen at Bath last time out, but that was on good to soft ground. She gets soft conditions here. I think this will suit her. James Doyle's a good booking again. He takes over from Tom Marquand. At the price is 12-1. I do think she's a classy filly in the right situation. I'm going to give her one last opportunity to show her ability, return to soft ground here at Doncaster. That should hopefully play into her strengths. And at 12-1, she will hopefully run into the frame at the very least. Back to the jumps now, the jumps game. This is the 210 at Aintree, handicap chase sponsored by Will Hill Racing. 10 due to go to post, 2.5 mile the trip, and there's a lot of really recognisable names in here. We'll all know about Modus and how he's been rather difficult to train over his career, the Nicholls horse. But he's on a pretty good mark here, 141, £5 below his last winning mark. He's the sort of horse you can't really discount, and he was 6th in the Galway Plate when last seen as well back in July. He's one to consider at 6-1. Then you've got the likes of Cool Mix and Benny's King, 2 more. Benny's King represents the Skelton teams. He's in really good heart. When last seen was a good second at Ascot in a similar event. But the way I'm going to go here is with another rather something of a rogue in Drumcliff. He hasn't been the easiest to train during his career. He's another who carries the JP McManus Silks, but he's been in reasonable heart so far this summer. He's been kept busy since switching back from Aidan Anthony Howard to Harry Fry. He's had 3 outings over the summer and produced his best effort for a long time when finishing 3rd at Fontwell over this kind of trip last month. He's down now to a really competitive mark in 130. That is £9 below his last winning mark, and he's got the advantage here, Drumcliff, of arriving fit. A lot of these are having their first starts for over 200 days. Fancying to put his race fitness to good use, can take advantage of his lowly mark and hopefully get back to winning ways at about the 11-2 mark. That's Drumcliff. Sticking at Aintree now for the 240. This is over hurdles. It's a conditions race over 2.5 miles. Really good race this. Lots of interesting names in here. Just the 6 go to post, but should be a really fascinating renewal. Call Me Lord, last time we saw him was in the Champion Hurdle back in March. Was outclassed that day, beaten 30 lengths into 13. But this is more like his sort of scene. He's a Grade 2 winner at his peak, won the International Hurdle back in December. He should go close on reappearance. Somerville Boy, another one to consider. Supreme winner back in 2018. He's been showing some of his best form though over further. I'm not sure whether the drop back to 2.5 will suit him. Leverhow Pass, interesting contender. He was a fascinating 4-year-old last year, 4th in the Triumph Hurdle. Chibello, regular in graded company as well. Can't discount him. He generally runs his race. Is held though on Call Me Lord with the form. And long story short, the way I'm going to go here is with Thomas Darby. He's pretty lightly raced for his age as the 7-year-old, but he's got some smart form under his belt as well, as he showed when winning a graded handicap at Ascot back in January. He's run well fresh in the past, so the 258-day absence shouldn't hold too many fears for the Ollie Murphy team. Fancy him to be the one most ready for this race, Thomas Darby. Okay, back to Doncaster now for a novice contest, a really sticky looking contest this to decipher. 8 due to go to post, and at the time of recording it's 4 o'clock on Friday. I've been looking at this for the past couple of hours or so, still without the market clues, so going on what forms available. Forms at something of a premium here. The one who sets the standard is Super Den. Pretty modest form so far, but look fairly useful when finishing 4th over 7 furlongs here last month. He sets a standard on the back of that, but it really isn't insurmountable that one of the 2 debutants could win this on their first start. Both from the William Haggas yard, both worth consideration. Tarub makes plenty of appeal on paper. Tom Marquand book, that would suggest that he's the stable's first string. But the way I'm going to go here is with Sword Spirit, who's got Kieran Fallon on board. She makes plenty of appeal on paper as well. Closely related to a couple of smart types who've won at group and listed level. Kieran Fallon's a good booking, and any market support between now and post time for this daughter of Charm Spirit would be encouraging. Doesn't have to be a world beater to make a winning start here. If the market speaks for her, I think she'll go very close. Okay, sticking at Doncaster for the big race there, the November Handicap over 1.5 miles. Typically competitive this, 23 maximum field of go to post. Possible to make a case for a whole load here. Rafe Beckett has the favourite in Sam Cook. He's in really good form so far this year. Last seen finishing 2nd at Ascot in a competitive race. Kingbrook, another onto victory. Eagle Court, possible to make cases for plenty of these. Dash of Spice, another who ran pretty well at Doncaster here last time out over course and distance. But the way I'm going to go is with Yukon Glen, who's in sparkling form at the moment. Won the Old Borough Cup, of course, at Haydock in September. Similarly sort of competitive handicap off a mark of 101. He's done nothing but improve or get better since then. He's in fine form and arrives here on the back of 2 victories, back-to-back victories at Group 3 level. The latest of those was in really good style on heavy ground at Newbury at the end of last month. Those 2 wins mean he's up to a career high mark of 109, but he's in brilliant heart at the moment. It isn't out of the realm of reason to think that he's up to defying a mark like this, and bearing in mind the form he's in at the moment, I think he'll certainly go close at the 8-1 mark for the Jim Goldie team. The other horse, it might be worth playing each way as well in such an open contest, is Torcello. He signed off last year with a hat-trick of wins on the flat. He then had a short-lived stint over hurdles where he didn't show an awful lot, but he bounced back with a brilliant reappearance last month. He finished second at Newbury over a mile and a quarter. That was a really good effort. He's up £5 here, but that form's proving pretty strong at Newbury. The winner of that race, Luna Jet, has gone in against since. Megan Nichols is back in the saddle here on Torcello. She partnered him to 2 of his 3 victories last year. Takes off a useful £3 as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Torcello go close in the November Handicap. Last but not least, over to Wincanton for the 3:35. This is the Badger Beers Silver Trophy Handicap Chase. Listed handicap over 3 miles and a furlong. 15 due to go to post. And the place to start here is with the Paul Nicholls team. Paul Nicholls, as I've already said, has a really good record at Wincanton, and he's won each of the last 3 renewals. And if we trust the jockey bookings, his number 1 charge here is Danny Whizzbang. Pretty unexposed chaser, was a smart novice last year, last seen finishing 3rd in the Reynolds Town. Open to more improvement this year, you'd think. He's a Grade 2 winner last season. Starts off what looks a reasonable mark of 145 this season. Ought to go close. Wouldn't be a surprise to see him fit for his first start. But the way I'm going to go is with a regular in this race, and that's Present Man, who has won 2 renewals in the past in 2017 and 2018. And rekindles his partnership with Bryony Frost. He wasn't so good in this race last year. He never really went a yard that day, but the fact we didn't see him since suggests that it could be worth forgiving him for that. He goes well fresh, Present Man. It was no surprise to see him make a winning reappearance at Chepstow last month. That shows he's banging form. He's up £2 for that, so he's at a mark that's at the limit of his capabilities, but he goes really well at the course and the distance. Bryony Frost on board as well. It'd be folly to think that he won't go close, but there's plenty to consider here, and the race fit and informed pair of Potterman and El Presente are just 2 to consider against the selection. But for me, Present Man can win this race for a 3rd time. So that was it for this weekend's preview on horseracing.net. If you're enjoying it, of course, please do like and subscribe. Head over to the website for all of the selections written in full, and keep posted. There won't be a video for the next 2 weeks. I won't be here. I'll be having stand-ins. Joe Tuffin and Steve Chambers will be giving their thoughts on the ITV7 over on the website. So do check that out, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time.